Transitioning to BARF can transform your dog's health, but if done the wrong way, it can cause diarrhea, vomiting, and a lot of stress. In this video, you'll learn the 7 essential rules to ensure a safe, digestive chaos-free move based on science and veterinary practice. From the initial step of gradual transition to individualized adjustment according to your dog's response, this comprehensive guide shows you everything you need to apply BARF with confidence. Get ready to understand how to choose the best ingredients, handle each meal hygienically, organize weekly menus, and above all, have the patience to reap the results. If you want to see your dog with more energy, shiny fur, balanced stools, and enhanced health, this video is for you. The world of animal nutrition has changed radically in recent years, and with it has grown the interest in a more natural diet, capable of respecting the biology of dogs. Among the options that have been conquering more and more tutors is the BARF model, an acronym for biologically appropriate raw food. More than a fashion, it is a food philosophy that seeks to offer the animal fresh meals with meat, offal, fleshy bones, vegetables, and fruits, all balanced in order to reproduce what its ancestors consumed in nature. But if the idea is simple, the execution requires attention. Because, just like any sudden change in diet, the transition to BARF can be a real challenge for your dog's digestive system. Imagine your dog used for years to receive dry, highly processed food, always with the same smell, the same texture, the same artificial crunchiness. Suddenly, you put pieces of fresh meat, chopped vegetables, and fleshy bones in the jar. To the tutor, it may seem like a healthy feast. For the dog's body, it is like changing the gear of an engine that has been running at the same pace for a long time. The risk: loose stools, gas, occasional vomiting, and a worried owner if he made the right choice. That's why the secret lies in not taking a leap in the dark, but in following clear, firm, and tested rules that turn this transition into a safe, predictable, and chaos-free path. The first of these rules is simple but fundamental. The transition must be gradual. The dog's intestine, like ours, is home to trillions of bacteria that form the microbiota. These bacteria are responsible for digesting part of the food, producing vitamins, and maintaining the balance of gastrointestinal health. When you switch from a processed diet to a natural diet, you're also completely changing the environment in which these bacteria live. An abrupt transition can destabilize this ecosystem and pave the way for severe diarrhea or even secondary infections. That is why veterinarians, who are experts in natural nutrition, recommend that the change take from 7 to 14 days, on average, depending on the sensitivity of the animal. In the first few days, small portions of BARF should be mixed with the usual feed, in proportions that gradually increase until the natural food completely replaces the industrialized one. This adaptation is not only physiological, but also behavioral. Many dogs, accustomed to the aroma and additive taste of food, may be strange at first. Therefore, the tutor must be prepared to deal with some resistance and understand that this is a natural process. Some strategies help, such as lightly heating the meat, without cooking, to release more smell, or mixing natural broths without seasoning to make the meal more palatable. The crucial point is not to give up in the face of the first refusals. Consistency is what teaches the dog's body to accept novelty. But gradual transition does not mean absence of attention. On the contrary, this is the period in which the tutor must observe with eagle eyes every signal that the dog's body transmits. The color, consistency, and volume of the stool become precious indicators of the success of the change. Wetter stools in the first few days may be normal, but frequent episodes of diarrhea, blood and bowel movements, or persistent vomiting warrant immediate veterinary evaluation. It is at this point that the second rule, as essential as the first, is confirmed. Veterinary monitoring is mandatory. Many tutors believe that it is enough to search for BARF recipes on the internet and get your hands dirty. The problem is that not every dog is the same. Breed, age, weight, level of physical activity, and even pre-existing health conditions directly influence how the animal reacts to the raw diet. A dog with a history of pancreatitis, for example, may have great difficulties receiving fattier meals. Elderly dogs, on the other hand, need lean cuts and greater care with the proportion of bones. Only a veterinarian with knowledge in natural nutrition can calculate the correct proportion of proteins, fats, carbohydrates of vegetable origin, and fiber for each case. More than that, the professional also evaluates blood and stool tests, ensuring that the transition is strengthening the animal and not creating hidden nutritional deficiencies. Following these first 2 rules, gradual transition and professional accompaniment, is like building the foundation of a house. Without them, all other stages are compromised. By applying these guidelines, the owner not only protects the dog's digestive health, but also begins to create a deeper bond with it based on close observation, patience, and true care. This connection is part of what makes the BARF experience so transformative. It is not just food, it is a way of seeing the animal as a complete living being with real and individual needs. The way for the next 5 rules is open. If so far the tutor has learned to walk slowly and rely on specialized help, the next step will be to understand how to choose the right ingredients, handle each food safely, and ensure nutritional variety without compromising the balance of the dish. Because if the goal is to give the dog a healthier future, it is in the kitchen that the decision is made between the success and failure of the transition. Once you've established the two fundamental foundations, gradual transition and veterinary follow-up, it's time to dive into another essential rule, the correct choice of ingredients. Unlike industrial feed, which arrives standardized with the same formula repeated indefinitely, BARF requires attention to the quality and origin of each food. And here we are not just talking about aesthetics or taste, but about health and safety. Raw meat is the backbone of the diet. It should be fresh, from trusted suppliers, and handled with the same hygienic care you would have when preparing your own meal. Chicken, beef, lamb, fish. The options are varied, but each comes with specific risks and benefits. For example, chicken is light and easy to digest, but it should be purchased from safe sources, as it can carry bacteria such as salmonella. Beef is nutritious and rich in iron, but cuts that are too fatty can overwhelm dogs with pancreatic sensitivity. Fish, on the other hand, is an excellent source of omega-3, but it should not be offered raw in large quantities, as some species contain thiaminase, an enzyme that destroys vitamin B1. At this point, the third rule emerges: variety is the key to nutritional balance. Different meats provide different amino acid, fat, and micronutrient profiles. Thus, the tutor should not fall into the trap of feeding the dog only with chicken breast, no matter how practical it may seem. It is necessary to alternate cuts and sources, ensuring that throughout the week, the animal receives a complete set of nutrients. To reinforce this variety, vegetables and fruits come in, leaves like spinach and kale, vegetables like squash and carrots, and fruits like apples and blueberries offer fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins that round out the dish. However, it is also necessary to remember that not everything that is healthy for humans is safe for dogs. Onions, garlic, grapes, avocados, and chocolate are examples of toxic foods that should never go into the jar. Correct handling is the fourth rule: hygiene and conservation. The kitchen of a tutor who adopts BARF should function almost like a small food safety laboratory. Knives, boards, and jars intended for the preparation of dog food should not be the same as those used for the family, in order to avoid cross-contamination. Storage also requires rigor. Meat and offal should be frozen in individual portions, always thawed in the refrigerator and never at room temperature, and never refrozen after thawing. This care ensures that bacteria do not multiply to dangerous levels. It is also essential to respect expiration dates and observe the smell and color of the ingredients before offering it to the dog. In this scenario, an often overlooked detail comes into play: the presentation. Although dogs don't care about aesthetics, they are sensitive to smell and texture. The mixture must be homogeneous to prevent the animal from selecting only what it likes and leaving aside crucial foods. Some tutors prefer to grind vegetables to facilitate digestion, since the dog's body does not have enzymes capable of breaking down cellulose as efficiently. Meaty bones, on the other hand, should be offered raw, never cooked, because cooking makes them brittle and prone to chipping, generating a risk of internal perforations. These hygiene and preparation measures transform the tutor's routine. It's no longer about opening a bag of kibble and pouring it into the pot in seconds. It is about dedicating time, affection, and discipline to the dog's health. For many, this process even becomes therapeutic because it creates a more intimate connection between human and animal. Every meal prepared is a gesture of care, a quiet way of saying, "I care about you." At this point, tutors begin to realize that BARF is not just a menu, but a lifestyle. It is the decision to value the natural, the fresh, and the authentic, instead of the industrial, the ultra-processed, and the repetitive. But for this lifestyle to work, it is necessary to plan. This is where the fifth rule comes into play: organization and consistency. Without planning, the tutor runs the risk of improvising with what he has at hand, breaking the logic of nutritional balance. The ideal is to prepare the weekly menus in advance, following the proportions indicated by the veterinarian. On average, 70% meats and meaty bones, 10% offal, 10% vegetables and fruits, and 10% natural supplements such as fish oils or seaweed. Freezing daily portions, labeled with date, facilitates the routine and prevents failures. This habit also ensures that, in the midst of the rush of everyday life, the dog never goes without the proper meal. With each new step, the tutor realizes that these rules are not bureaucracy, but the map that separates a healthy transition from a digestive disaster. By choosing quality ingredients, varying sources of nutrients, handling with hygiene, and planning meals with consistency, he creates an invisible armor that protects the dog from nutritional deficiencies, poisoning, and gastrointestinal disorders. With 5 rules already established, there are only 2 left to complete the path of the perfect transition. And it is precisely these 2 that will seal the process: individualized adjustments according to the dog's response, and the patience to understand that the body takes time to adapt. These are the last pieces that turn theory into successful practice. We have reached one of the most delicate stages of the entire journey. Understanding that, even with clear rules and planned menus, each dog reacts in a unique way. This is where the sixth rule comes in: individualized adjustment. No food transition is identical. Some dogs embrace BARF right away with renewed energy, shinier fur, and firm stools within a few days. Others need more time, have minor diarrhea, resistance to certain ingredients, or even momentary loss of appetite. It is at this point that the tutor must become an attentive and patient observer, ready to adjust details without straying from the foundation that ensures balance. The observation begins in the feces. They are the most faithful thermometer of the digestive system. Firm stools with a defined shape and uniform color indicate that the body has assimilated the meal well. Soft or very bulky stools signal excess fiber or fat. Presence of mucus can indicate inflammation, while blood spots require immediate attention. The owner should record these changes because they guide simple adjustments. Change a fattier meat for a lean one, reduce fibrous vegetables, introduce natural probiotics such as kefir or lactose-free yogurt. Another point of adjustment is in the energy level. If the dog seems apathetic, sleepy, or with a drop in physical performance, it may be lacking some nutrient. Supplementation, always recommended under veterinary supervision, may include omega-3 rich fish oil for joints and skin, eggshell powder for calcium, or seaweed for minerals and iodine. Each addition must be calculated and monitored, never improvised, because excess also causes imbalances. And it's not just about physics, but about behavior. There are dogs that reject certain ingredients because of smell or texture. Some do not adapt well to the consumption of fleshy bones and need to receive calcium from other sources. Others reject offal, even crushed, and ask for creative strategies such as mixing them in broths or chopping them into smaller portions. The tutor, who understands this process, is not frustrated. He adapts, finds alternatives, and remains firm in the goal of offering a complete natural diet. Here, once again, the veterinarian is an irreplaceable partner. Reporting each dog's reaction allows for safer adjustments. It is common that in the first few months, blood and stool tests are necessary every 30 or 60 days to confirm that the levels of iron, calcium, and vitamins are adequate. This monitoring removes risks of silent deficiencies, which may take time to manifest, but harm health in the long term. This rule of individualized adjustments shows something powerful. The transition to BARF is not a rigid process, but a constant dialogue between the tutor, the dog, and the veterinarian. It's like tuning a musical instrument until you find the perfect melody. It requires sensitivity, constancy, and openness to correct roots without losing direction. And so we come to the seventh and final rule: patience. It may seem simple, but this is precisely where many tutors stumble. Accustomed to the practicality of feed, they expect immediate results from the natural diet. When they don't see them in the first week, they get discouraged. But the body needs time. The gut takes weeks to adjust the microbiota, the skin can take months to reflect the benefits, and the hair only shows its vitality after full growth cycles. Giving up early is like uprooting a young tree because it has not yet borne fruit. Patience also means understanding that relapses can happen. A day of soft stools or a refusal to a certain meal does not invalidate the whole process. The owner who persists, who observes, who adjusts, and who keeps calm builds a solid foundation for BARF to become not just a phase, but the definitive lifestyle of his dog. It is in this perseverance that true transformation is born. In the end, each of these 7 rules connects like rungs on a ladder. Gradual transition, professional monitoring, correct choice of ingredients, variety, hygiene and planning, individualized adjustments, and patience. Together, they not only prevent digestive chaos, but also create a full health experience. Because the truth is, BARF isn't just about food. It's about commitment. It's about looking at your dog and deciding that he deserves the best you can offer. Not tomorrow, but today. As the owner internalizes these rules, he finds that he's also changing. You become more aware of the choices you make, more attentive to the signs of life, more disciplined with time. The dog's health becomes a reflection of a routine that involves the whole family. The animal's jar is no longer just a container to satisfy hunger and becomes a symbol of respect, love, and responsibility. But the journey doesn't end here yet. We have come to the point of tying each of the 7 rules together and turning theory into practice. So far, we have seen that the transition to BARF is not a blind leap, but a journey guided by clear steps. Start gradually, rely on veterinary monitoring, choose fresh and varied ingredients, handle everything hygienically, organize consistent menus, adjust individually according to the dog's response, and, above all, have patience. Now, it's time to understand how these rules coexist in the daily life of a busy tutor, but committed to the health of their pet. Imagine a typical week after transitioning. In the freezer, daily portions are already frozen and labeled, the result of careful preparation on the weekend. Each bag contains the exact proportion of meat, offal, bones, and vegetables indicated by the veterinarian. In the morning, the tutor removes the next day's portion and leaves it thawing in the refrigerator. At night, before bed, mix a drizzle of omega-3 rich fish oil or sprinkle some ground eggshell, ensuring extra minerals. The dog, when receiving the meal, not only satisfies hunger, it gains energy, vitality, and reinforces health from the inside out. This care is reflected in details that only the attentive eye perceives. The stool becomes firm and with a less intense odor, the skin is healthier, the fur shines like never before. Breath improves, disposition increases, and the animal's body is strengthened. These are signs that do not appear overnight, but that are constantly consolidated. Here, patience reveals itself as the rule that binds all others. Only those who persist reap lasting results. It is natural that challenges arise. Days of rush, unforeseen events, ingredients in short supply in the market. But that's precisely why organization is so important. Having a plan B, such as keeping extra portions frozen or natural supplements indicated by the veterinarian, is part of the routine of those who really take their commitment to their dog's health seriously. The tutor, who anticipates, does not suffer from failures. It prevents. By applying the 7 rules, the owner also realizes that he is not only feeding the dog, but creating a deeper bond. Each hand-prepared meal is a silent act of love, a way of saying, "You are important to me." This daily gesture strengthens the relationship because food is no longer automatic and becomes a bridge of care and trust. That's why, when we talk about seamless transition to BARF, we're not just describing a nutrition technique, we are describing a transformation of life. The change starts in the dog's pot, but extends to the entire house because it involves discipline, awareness, and respect for the animal's nature. The tutor who adopts this practice also educates himself, learns about food, about health, and about the importance of consistency. It becomes a guardian of your dog's quality of life. And in the end, when he looks back, he understands that each rule was not an obstacle, but a step. The step that allowed your dog to go from the monotony of an ultra-processed food to the vitality of fresh meals. The step that removed the fear of diarrhea and vomiting and brought confidence. The step that turned every meal into a celebration. Whether you're the owner of an energetic puppy or a senior dog that deserves comfort in the last few years of life, the message is the same. The transition to BARF is possible, it's safe, and it's deeply rewarding. There is no miracle, but there is method. And by following these 7 rules, you not only ensure your dog's health, but also build a routine of love and responsibility that will be remembered with every look, every wag of the tail, every moment of companionship. After all, at the heart of this choice is not just what goes in the pot, but the decision to offer your best friend the full life he deserves, and that, without a doubt, is BARF's real victory.